It's all about the little things, you know. I am spending the night within four walls for the first time in 2 months. It's a feeling I hadn't had in a long time. I'm enjoying my hot tea, but also, I don't know, water coming out of a faucet, having a proper toilet that I can flush, a shower, a place where to brush my teeth, Wi-Fi for the first time on the whole trip. So I'm finally able to back all my images up to the cloud. That will make me feel much better. So car life is over after 56 nights on the road, more than 8,000 kilometers sleeping in my car, a lot of driving through beautiful countryside, but also waiting in traffic jams and driving through narrow streets in towns. There were a lot of highs and a lot of lows during this trip in the car, but in the end I think I made the car feel like home. So despite all of the inconveniences and the lack of even the most basic modern life amenities, I am going to miss it a lot. I'm going to miss waking up to beautiful sunrises in beautiful places, and I'm going to miss going to bed to the sound of a stream, to the sound of the wind, to the sound of the rain. I slept very well during the whole trip. I have a very comfortable bed in the car, but last night was the worst of the whole trip by far. It was a night like tonight. It was very windy, very rainy. It was very loud. It is loud here too, but last night my whole room was shaking. The car was shaking and moving, so I've been awake since 3 or 4 in the morning, so I'm very tired. I need to catch up on sleep first. So I'm going to bed now. As nice as it is to have a place, as convenient as it is to have a bathroom, a sink where to put the dirty dishes and everything, this is the worst part for me, getting ready for the day, for a day out shooting. I have to make sure that I'm bringing everything I need with me. I have snacks, that I have water, that I have all the lenses and cameras I need. When I'm living in the car, well, everything is already with me. I'm never forgetting anything behind. It's cold. You know, it really isn't. It's 7 degrees Celsius this morning. I've had it much worse during my trip living in the car. But you know, one thing is being in the car, waking up to these conditions, because anything that you do is going to help warming you up. So you have an incentive to get going. But when you are in a comfy, warm place like this one, Getting out becomes harder. It's more of a challenge. It requires more willpower because you are coming from a more comfortable place and you're going to a less comfortable place. So in that way, getting started is much easier for me when living in the car than when staying in nice places. Almost forgot. I couldn't have asked for better conditions this morning. As you could see, I was photographing a tree here that is pretty popular and pretty famous. Although I gotta say that I like the rocks next to the tree as much, if not more even, than the actual tree. But yeah, it's a beautiful spot. Exactly the kind of day I was hoping to get here. I'm gonna try another shot with those rocks, even though they are a little bit far away. I might have to use a longer lens because I've been risking it a little bit with my rubber boots. I've been getting a little bit too deep, almost to the limit, and I don't want them, filling up with water and getting my feet wet. That's not the point of using rubber boots, right? I think the 35 is gonna do great here. here I am taking this shot after all the 35. It's a little bit too short for this shot. I set the camera in APS-C mode, so it works more like a 50mm equivalent, and that was a little bit too long. So I'm shooting it full frame mode at 35, and I'll have to crop a little bit in post to get the framing that I wanted. So, some bad news because both of my cameras had kind of low battery. I didn't realize, and the video camera died almost right away, and I already burned through another battery somehow. Maybe it was not fully charged. Another one of my batteries was already dead. So I'm down to just one battery left for both cameras, and the stills camera is already at 25%. I don't know how all of this happened, but anyway, it's something that I did not have to worry about for the whole trip, because I had my power station here and I could charge them at any time, and now I do not have. That power station is at home because I'm using it to charge all of my devices there. It's more convenient, you know, because I need an adapter for here for the UK. I only have one. I use that one to charge the power station, and then the power station charges everything else because it has a lot of USB ports and it has two European plugs where I can plug everything else. So that's what I'm doing with it. So it's not here. Now I can't really charge anything. I do have one of these 12 volts lighter connectors thingy, and I do have a battery charger, thankfully, for these batteries, so I can plug it to the lighter, but the car has to be running in order for this to charge. So not ideal, but I'll be visiting a few spots around Loch Lomond today, so hopefully it'll be enough to at least charge them to some degree so I don't run out of battery during the day. Back there, if I am not mistaken, we should have had a nice view of Ben Lomond, but with the low clouds that we have this morning, we have none of that, which I'm okay with because, you know, I've had my fair amount of mountains on this trip, and to be honest, today I feel like taking it easy. I'm more in the mood of taking long exposures like the ones I did earlier. It is a wonderful morning here at Loch Lomond. This is the perfect weather for me. It's cloudy, no wind, and around 10 degrees Celsius. Just lovely to be outside.
A teenage boy has been arrested in connection with the cutting down of one of the UK's most photographed trees. The Sycamore Gap tree on Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland was made famous in a key scene in Kevin Costner's 1991 film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
That is really sad. I don't know why someone would do something like that, but it's a good reminder that we cannot take anything for granted, something that sometimes we don't even think about, like that tree. That tree had been there for more than 300 years. Who knew that just a few days before I was going to go there to photograph it, it was going to be cut down by someone. If you've been waiting to photograph something, be it a place or a person, do it before they are gone, because you just never know when that is going to happen. Feels weird, fresh, but weird to not have a beard. Anyway, what I'm doing right now is just exploring behind the Airbnb. There is a little mountain that is called the Conic Hill that I'm gonna visit. That is the kind of place that I would have never visited otherwise, if I were sleeping in the car and I had the freedom and the flexibility to go anywhere I wanted. But now, because I am fixed to one location, that creates some constraints. It's not as easy to move around. Say that I want to visit a spot that is an hour away from here. That becomes a 2-hour drive because I have to come back to the B&B. If I were staying in the car, I could have found a place around there. So even though I'm gonna be here for just a few days, I have to switch to an almost local mode where I have to focus more on local spots around the place where I'm staying. It is a very different approach to photography, one that is much slower. It's not so much flying from landmark to landmark, even though I like to think that I did some exploration in other parts of Scotland. Of course, I did not have enough time to go deep. Here I have a little bit more time. Not today though, because it's gonna be 5 p.m. I have less than 2 hours before sunset and I still have 4 miles to go to the top of that hill. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. Exploring a place you don't know is good as long as you do it during the day. Well, so there's not much to photograph around here, but it's a very peaceful place. It's perfect just for a walk before heading back to the Airbnb for the night. I believe this is the West Highland Way trail. I've seen quite a few campers on the side of the trail. Well, this is as far as I'm gonna go tonight. I wasn't even close to make it to the top. I just started the ascent, but I have a nice 4-mile walk back to the Airbnb. I don't know why. I thought that an 8+ mile hike was a good idea with under 2 hours before sunset. Actually, I have to be back at a decent time because I had something to do, something I had never had to do while living in the car. And that is packing and getting everything back in the car, which is not a big deal, of course, but it gets a little bit tricky when you are trying to shoot a location for sunrise, like I'm trying this morning. Sunrise is happening in 40 minutes, 35 minutes, and the location I'm trying to go to is half an hour away, and I still have to get all my stuff in the car, so I'm gonna do it real quick. Ugh, what a mess. Okay, I've made it to Loch Ard. It looks pretty beautiful here. The reason why I wanted to be here for sunrise is that I've been told that it can get foggy and misty here in the morning. It's not the case today, but still. I'm turning around because I saw a boathouse that I want to photograph, but I have to go further away. There are not many places to park around here, though. Okay, finally I found a place. I have to walk a little bit to go back to the lake, but at least it's possible. This part of Scotland feels very, very different from farther north. Everything around here is private. It's beautiful, of course, but it's a very different vibe. I haven't done as much photography as I was hoping for this morning. To be honest, it was a little bit disappointing to not have access to the lake, but it is a beautiful morning. The weather is perfect, so I'm gonna take a trail I found just south of the lake. I don't think it has access to the actual lake, but it'll be a nice walk. It'll give me a chance to stretch my legs because I have a long drive ahead of me today. I found this beautiful little lake, but it was funny because I came from the forest. I saw this little sign here on the tree, so I was paying attention to this, and then on the side of my eye I saw something that scared the shit out of me. That was very much unexpected, but it gives me a chance to make a photo here. I'm gonna try to find a good angle to capture that dragonfly. It's nice. This is not the easiest composition, mainly because there's not much room here to maneuver. There's not many options when it comes to where to place the tripod, where to place yourself. The obvious challenge here, besides avoiding the branches on this side, of course, is how to frame the dragonfly in a way that doesn't overlap with the shade of the trees in the background, because otherwise, of course, we'd lose part of the shape, part of the sculpture. That we want to capture all of it against the white part of the water to create contrast. And this is one of those very few moments where I wish I had a bigger, taller tripod, because even just 1 inch higher would have made a huge difference. Again, if I had a bigger, heavier tripod, would I have it with me right now, right here? No, probably not. I would have left it in the car because I was not expecting to find something like this on this little walk. This looks kind of creepy, also kind of cool. I don't know what they are. There are more over there. Quite interesting. This place is full of surprises, but I don't think I could find any images here. I tried. The dragonfly and the plastic bags are two more examples of the slower approach to photography that I'm having now that I'm not living in the car anymore. Those are things that I could never visit before because I was going from major photography spot to major photography spot, and I did not have the time, I did not take the time to explore little lakes like this one. Obviously it is not going to yield as many good images as the other approach, but some of my most treasured photographs were made in very unassuming places like these ones. And while this morning might not have been the most amazing morning for photography and I might not have made my best images ever, I do believe that if I keep doing this day after day after day, the results will come. All right, as I said, I have a little bit of a drive to do today, some 3.5 hours. I am going south. Things are going to change again because I am leaving Scotland actually. I'm going to a place that I have to visit now because if I don't do it on this trip, I don't think I ever will. That is in the future though. For now, this is all for today. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.